Hi everyone, it's Delilah, and today I am very excited to share with you all my custom 17-inch Snow White doll. She began as a 17-inch Snow White singing doll from the Disney store. Her design was heavily inspired by the recently released D23 exclusive Snow White limited edition doll. I kind of wanted to buy her on eBay, but aside from the high price tag, I decided it would be much more fulfilling to come up with my own design. After creating a pretty messy first sketch, I picked out some fabrics that I liked, and these helped me to finalize the design. Then I made a more refined sketch and set about making a pattern. To make the pattern, I covered the doll in plastic wrap and then wrapped masking tape tightly around that. Then, with a pencil, I drew on the outline of the clothes. In this case, just the bodice and the sleeves, as they were the only form-fitting parts of the dress that could be created with this method. I used the singing doll's original dress as a guide, but modified it. After tracing the lines with a pen and drawing on where the seams will go, I cut along the seam lines to remove the pattern from the doll. I then used the pieces to create a neat, symmetrical pattern on paper. I cut out the pieces and looks good, ready for tracing on the fabric. For her bodice, as you can tell, it's kind of similar to the D23 Snow White. It's a blue velvety material over a satin ivory material. I also added some lace, which matches her collar, around the edge of the bodice. Whenever I could, I used existing doll clothes as a guide, such as for the collar. The sleeves were definitely the hardest part. I'd never sewn anything so complex. I used my form-fitting arm pattern to make an undersleeve that was the base for the crazy puff sleeve. I used the textured satiny red fabric to create the puff. I just kind of decided on how big to make the sleeve, stitched along the top and the bottom, gathered both to make it puffy, then sewed it to the undersleeve carefully to keep the seams hidden. In between the red and blue fabric, I positioned the ribbons before sewing so they'd be neatly tucked inside the seams. This was my least favorite part of this project. Once those sleeves were finally finished, I sewed them onto the bodice and then carefully stitched the sleeves closed while they were on the doll. At the very end, I also added a piece of ribbon in the middle part of the sleeve to divide the puff sleeve into two puffs. There's also a piece of lace at the very end of the sleeve at her hand. After all that, the skirt seemed pretty simple in comparison. Well, actually, I had a pretty hard time figuring out how to achieve the effect that I wanted. I wanted the skirt to be a complete full circle so that the skirt would be nice and puffy. So what I needed to do was make a pattern that was a really big circle. So I'm going to show you with this post-it note how I did that. With a big piece of tissue paper, I folded it in half again, and then folded it again to match up the one side with the other side and kind of keep going until the remaining triangle is as thin as you can make it. Then you're going to cut a little bit off the bottom and a tiny bit off the top. That's for the hole in the middle of the skirt. When you open it up, it'll be kind of a donut shape, and that's going to be the skirt. After cutting out the skirt circle in first yellow satin for the underneath part, and then the pieces that I needed of my sheer tulle fabric with the lace on the bottom, I then attached those two together and hemmed all along the bottom of the skirt. I also made a simple tulle petticoat underneath to give the skirt a lot of volume. For the collar, I sewed this gorgeous golden cream lace onto white satin. I then sewed the collar onto the top of the sleeves and the back of the bodice once everything else on the bodice was all finished. The two halves of the collar are joined in the back by a snap closure so that the dress is technically removable. For the cape, I used paper towels to create the pattern. Paper towels are really helpful because they're soft and they drape a lot like fabric does. I used the nicer half of the cape pattern that I made just by pinning it to make it symmetrical, and then I traced it onto my lush red velvet. I also tea stained this white lace to make it nice and creamy to match the other lace and embroidery on the doll, and then I stitched it all along the bottom edge of the cape. I attached the cape to the bodice with 2 snap closures so that it's fully removable. I wanted my Snow White to wear pearls, which would add detail to the bodice and match the other ivoryish accents on the doll. I've also always loved the ruby heart on the original Snow White LE doll, so I knew I wanted her to have this Swarovski red heart crystal pendant as a focal point in her design. I feel like this necklace brings the whole outfit together and gives her sort of a queenly look. Believe it or not, I had such a hard time finding these tiny roses even after going to a few different craft stores. I finally bought a bunch on eBay, and I twisted them onto some gold wire to make a flower crown for her head. And she's finally complete. I'm very proud of this doll because it presented so many creative challenges for me, and I learned so much by working my way through it. What do you think of her? What details do you like best? Which box do you think she looks better in, the Snow White box or the Princess box? Let me know what you think in the comments section. Also, let me know if you're interested in buying a Snow White doll like this. My plan is to make another one for myself to keep and to actually sell this one. Let me know if you're interested. I sincerely hope you enjoyed my video. Thank you so much for watching. If you like seeing my work and you like seeing my process, please consider subscribing to my channel because there will be more videos like this in the future. Again, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!